All right, good evening. Thank you for hanging in here with us. We're going to get this meeting started at 6:11 p.m. First, we'll start with our call to order. Position number 1, Chris Durrett.
Present.
Position number 2, Martina McNichols. She's not present. Position number 3, Donald Atkinson.
Present.
Position number 4, Damon Collins.
Present.
Position number 5, Jason Black. I'm present. Position number 6, Derek Dalmelin.
Present.
Position number 7, Rabina Spruill.
Present.
Okay, everybody, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Now the Texas pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Next, we have public comments. Do we have any public comments? No public comments tonight, so we will move on to our regular agenda. Our first item is A, presentation by Kendig Keese Collaborative on the city's strategic plan. And tonight we have a presentation that Jennifer from Kendig Keese is going to present for us. Come on up, Jennifer. Thank you for being here.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to be able to present to you the Manvel Strategic Plan. I'm Jennifer Mack. I'm an architect and urban designer with Kendig Keese Collaborative. Just a little bit of, and on the screen there is Gary Mitchell. He's the president and project manager. He's not here tonight, but he's definitely very much involved in this project. So in case you're not aware, or for the benefit of whoever might be watching this online, we were contracted by the city to work on 3 different plans. The strategic plan is what I'm presenting here tonight, but all this is going to feed into, or is feeding into, the comprehensive plan and the thoroughfare plan. So all the community input that we've had thus far is kind of for all 3 of these plans. Just wanted to mention that up front so you kind of know where we're going. On the schedule here, you'll see that the project started last February. Then we transitioned to the Manvel Today phase. That's kind of the initial engagement, and then also looking at like the existing conditions, demographics, things like that, and which moved on to October and November, where we worked on the strategic plan and met with the city council back in November to present this same draft that I'm showing you tonight. And then we're currently working toward the future Manvel phase. That's the comprehensive plan part, as well as the thoroughfare. We've met with TxDOT and Brazoria County already, and then we're having further engagement activities. In fact, right now, we have a round of social media engagement activities that just kicked off on Monday regarding the strategic plan. It's available for this week and next week, so that can be found on the City of Manvel's Facebook page. And then next week, on Monday, the 13th, we'll be going to the Planning, Development, and Zoning Commission to give a similar presentation, and then hopefully taking the strategic plan and any recommendations or edits to City Council for potential adoption on Tuesday, January 21st. After that, we'll be having 3 upcoming workshops with Planning, Development, and Zoning Commission. So that right now we're having it on the February 24th, March 24th, and April 28th. So that's that kind of November to May timeframe. And then after that, we'll go into the implementation and adoption phase, which is going back and meeting with City Council for a 3rd workshop, and then having an open house on the draft plans and the hearing drafts. So still plenty of potential opportunities for people to give input. So some of the highlights tonight, I'm going to kind of switch some screens here, but we're going to briefly look at the Manvel Today report, the community input, and then the strategic plan. So what I wanted to show here was the City of Manvel website. page here. So this is cityofmanville.com/520 future-Manvel. And so if you scroll down here, you'll see where we are at in the process. And this phase 2 middle one here is what I just described. So that's just kind of showing where we're at in the process. And then also, you'll see this blue link here, view the presentation. That's the presentation to the city council that we gave it back in November. And then this draft strategic plan, that's where you can click on it and you can access what it looks like as of right now. There's one other very important link that I wanted to show, and that's this Manvel Plans website. If you click on that, and I think oh, there it is. It takes you to this interactive plan summary page. And here's where you can kind of look at some of the today report that we discussed. So there's this plans up here on the top. We don't have these up just yet, but when we do, you'll be able to toggle back and forth between the different plans. And then you'll also see there, so for example, what we did was you have the actual report, but then we pulled out certain key elements that we wanted to bring your attention to. So if you didn't want to necessarily dive into the whole plan, but you wanted to look at key things, it's all on this plan summary page. So for example, you can see that the median age here in Manvel is 35.7. If you go to click on the link that has the View Today report, once it's available, then you'll be able to see that we looked at different comparison cities, and then we have some bullet points as to what we thought was interesting for each of the general, for each of the different statistics. So for example, on the median age, 35.7, we thought this was interesting because it's basically stayed roughly the same since 2010, during an era when the aging baby boom generations was pushing the median up, the median age up in several areas. And then just calling out a few more, 87.8% are single-family attached homes. So there's definitely an opportunity for more missing middle housing in the future. Manvel has 364 persons per square mile, which is much lower than a lot of the comparison communities that we looked at, including Fulshire. And of course, that's going to be even much lower than the metropolitan, right? And we went ahead and we did do certain comparisons with Houston or Texas, depending on what statistic that was, just for comparison. And then you can see here that 4,585 of Manvel workers commute outside the city. So basically, what does that mean? It means that Manvel's basically a bedroom community, but it's important to note that there's still daily and weekend draws, such as the school districts or events or things like that, that still increase the daytime population, which affects Manvel's infrastructure, their streets, utilities, public services, things like that. So that's definitely important to note. This is where I said you'll kind of be able to click on that View Manvel Today report. We're doing some couple final edits, and then we'll link that there. So it should be up in the next few weeks, hopefully. And then I don't want to dive into this too much because I do have a little bit of this in the presentation. But on the community input here, you'll be able to see, top 5 priorities community-wide. What positives about Manvel today and into the future energize you most. There's these little drop downs, so it has the categories, and then you can kind of do a little bit of a deeper dive as to what the summary of what people said, what concerns you the most about Manvel today into the future. Similarly, drop down menus that you can look at, popular community suggestions. There's some tabs on that. What are the top priorities for the 160-acre city-owned property east of Del Bello Lakes? The top 3 priorities to maintain a small-town rural feel, because we kept hearing that in the focus group. So, doing a little bit of a deeper dive as to what does that mean to people? Because, small-town rural could mean something different to everybody. So as you can see there, even mature tree cover, and some people just said parks, some people said community, so people said different things. I'll jump into this. I'm going to skip over it because that's in the presentation, and additional hopes and concerns mentioned. And then just kind of, again, you'll be able to click on that view community feedback, and it brings you up to a separate PDF where you can actually dive into the details. So if you were curious and wanted to learn more what people said, then that's when you can jump down in to those specific details. Thank you. Okay. One of the things I wanted to mention on the survey report, that ran through last May, the whole month. We received 676 community responses. We've also received the additional input, as I was speaking about earlier. We had 9 focus group sessions held here at City Hall. We had a forum on Manvel's future. That was in April, and that was across the street at Church of the Harvest. And then we also had various meetings with the Chamber, Project Working Group, and then also City Council. So on the sampler here that you see on the screen, it's okay. Technical difficulties. So just some of the things that I just wanted to read out a couple of these specific quotes here, just to kind of give you a flavor of what it is that people were saying. So they said things like, I like the way it's developing, although the development is very scattered right now. Residents in Old Manvel feel forgotten. My favorite things change as the community changes. I can live in the country and get to work in 20 minutes. People liked that. So at the forum, we asked attendees to look at the 2015 goals, because we like to use that as a base starting point. As you know, a lot of times what we find is that things, even though things are changing, it doesn't mean that the goals have changed. So we started out with that. We asked them, here are the 2015 goals. Put a red sticker by things you disagree with, that you think are not important. Please put a green sticker by things that you still agree with or you think that are still pertinent or is very important to you. And what we found was that the goals are still very much supported. We just need to take into account even the new residents in the mix. I mean, there were some newer residents that have attended and that have did do the survey, but still we got to keep that in mind. So that was a good starting point for us. And again, all this is feeding into the strategic plan, but I got to give you the background of how it is to where we got. So for just the benefit of those, I know y'all went through your own strategic plan this past few months in fall. So this is more for the benefit of people who might be watching online. But for people that don't know, strategic planning is the process of arriving at a clear consensus or getting on the same page about where you are and have been, where you want to be, or how to avoid where you're headed if nothing changes. How you would get from here to there, and how to best position yourself in the future. The real goal and benefit from strategic planning is a common understanding of your situation and core functions now and in the future. The ultimate goal of strategic planning and thinking is to position oneself to anticipate needs and desires versus reacting most of the time. So with Manvel, again, strategic plans can come in many forms and they vary in their focus. So business and organizations, including churches and nonprofits and education institutions, they typically are clarifying their internal mission and confirming essential values. And basically they use that to best allocate, available resources or invest in future growth. Military strategies, again, they also have different ones. It could be a single upcoming battle, or it could be the overall defense mission. And then you can even have, for the football fans out there, you can even have a football game plan where you're trying to figure out on the offensive side of the ball how to move the ball, and then on the defensive side how to stop them. But you're actually, the reason why we brought up football is because you're literally trying to get a ball over the literal goal line. And so that's what, the strategic plan is basically trying to do. So with government entities, they typically are a hybrid. Are usually focused on core values and internal organizational structure, or they're a vision plan for the community. So for Manvel, we kind of took a more physical planning focus because it's linking directly into the comprehensive and thoroughfare plan updates. So we're linking the core values and community aspirations to the issues that a comprehensive plan typically focuses on. So unlike some types of strategic plans, this Manvel 2045 strategic plan stops short of getting into specific action items because the strategic plan is intended to be basically to provide the direction for and flow right into the comprehensive plan. So that's where the immediate and near-term strategic actions will be identified consistent with the strategic plan vision and guiding principles. So a quick overview, I'm going to dive into each one of these here, but I just wanted to give you a brief overview of what the structure of the strategic plan is. So first we have the vision and the mission, then the community values, which I've already kind of hinted on some of those, but we'll kind of go back over those. All that fed into those guiding principles, and then the aims and aspirations, area trends and influences, and then the shared priorities and concerns. So, what is a vision, right? A vision describes where you want to be in the future as a community and an organization. Essentially, it's the big picture and long range, a statement of aspirations. It depicts where you should be when all your strategies are implemented. The sentiments and determination expressed through a vision statement should become the driving force that energizes all subsequent efforts to marshal available resources and capabilities toward achieving the desired outcomes. So with that said, based on everything we've talked about so far, this is the vision that was developed for Manvel, or preliminary until it's adopted vision. So a distinctive, secure, and highly livable suburban community that combines the best of city and country living, including verdant natural landscapes, excellent public services, and a variety of quality in-town housing and shopping opportunities in a curated oasis-like environment amid the south central portion of the Houston metro area. So that's very relatable to everything we've read so far as the community input. And then the city had just recently also adopted their mission statement. So we plugged that in because it was very much in line with everything that we've talked about so far. So that little blurb there, it might be too small to read, but it basically says that the mission statement was adopted by the City Council in 2024, as well as 7 core values. So the mission statement is: the City of Manvel is a safe and responsible community, embracing the values of our past, present, and future citizens. And then, even though it's not on the screen, I just wanted to kind of recap, because as I read the community values, you'll also see that there's themes going the more and more I go into the presentation. But the 7 core values are quality, service, transparency, accountability, stewardship, engagement, and safety. So, as I mentioned, the community and leadership drove the vision. The values identify what matters most to a community and how it wishes to be viewed by others, and shared values inform the vision. So again, everything is going hand in hand. So in listening to stories and memories about Manvel, along with residents' desires and concerns for its future, the following community values came through consistently. So enjoying a town and country lifestyle, being a part of yet apart from Greater Houston, a commitment to neighborliness and family values, desiring safe and uncongested roads and neighborhoods, supporting local institutions and businesses, providing safe and enriching environments for children and seniors, preserving the area's natural rural landscapes, keeping the cost of housing as attainable as possible for the most people, and taking pride in an open and friendly community spirit. So this is that word cloud that I had mentioned to you a little bit before, that's on the interactive plan summary. So these were words that we asked that on that survey that was taken by those 676 individuals. We asked them to describe a version of Manvel you'd like to see if you had to leave for 20 years and come back, basically. So we tell them, there's a challenge of, I want you to say only one word of how you describe that. And we gave them, they were allowed to say 3. up to 3 times. So the bigger words that you see there are ones that were repeated the most often. So safe by far was the one most often said, followed by clean, green, diverse, community, small, beautiful. So again, all this relates to the community values, and these helped inform the following guiding principles. So going forward, the City of Manvel can apply the new vision along with the guiding principles that we're about to talk about when weighing various choices. So, for example, if there's an annual budgeting, capital project planning, department program and staffing, new or expanded partnerships, zoning applications, land development proposals, whatever that may be, they can come back to and refer back to the vision. Does it meet the vision? Does it follow one of these guiding principles? And then be able to make a better decision in crucial situations. So a brief overview of the 8 different guiding principles that we have. And we'll dive into each one of these, but it's safe, connected, sustainable, prudent, opportunistic, healthy, age-friendly, and welcoming. Those are the 8 guiding principles. So diving into each one, and I'll kind of take a brief pause just to let it, sit for a minute after I read each one. But so with safe, today and into the future, Manvel will strive to be more safe. Manvel will be a safe, protective, and disaster-resistant community with reduced speed traffic on local streets, ample sidewalks, engaged residents, responsive public services and neighborhoods, and infrastructure consciously designed to protect lives and property. Today and into the future, Manvel will strive to be more connected. Manvel will be an increasingly connected and accessible community, both in a physical sense and through events and other places and opportunities for its residents to gather and interact. It will expand upon its regional ties via highways and arterials to include a network of local through streets and city trails and sidewalk-equipped neighborhoods, except in its most rural areas. Evolving technology and network speeds will link it even more to the nation and world. It will be an inclusive and neighborly community that provides opportunities for youth, seniors, and residents to thrive, including through more alternative mobility options. Today and into the future, Manvel will strive to be more sustainable. Manvel will be an even more fiscally and environmentally sustainable and resilient city that protects its natural resources, encourages alternative and redundant forms of transportation and energy, adapts smoothly to change, seeks to mitigate weather-related hazards and damage to property, and strikes a balance between its commercial and residential tax bases and between areas of the community with visibly distinct suburban character relative to rural character. We'll talk a little bit more about character as well at the end. And then today into the future, Manvel will strive to be more prudent. Manvel will be prudent in how it safeguards its long-term financial position, in part through an ongoing commitment to strategic and comprehensive planning, as it continually monitors and evaluates the best way to grow, develop, and mature as a community. Today into the future, Manvel will strive to be more opportunistic. Manvel will maintain its emphasis on phased economic development as its residential population continues to build and as new market opportunities become feasible and attractive in such a growing community. The City of Manvel and the Manvel Economic Development Corporation will continue to sync their strategic planning efforts to ensure that private and public investments are aligned and consistent with community values and objectives for making the city an appealing place to live, work, and invest. Today and into the future, Manvel will strive to be more healthy. Manvel will be a vibrant, healthy, and wellness-focused community that encourages recreation and outdoor lifestyles, promotes walkability and access to healthcare services and fresh food, and provides opportunities for positive community interactions. Today and into the future, Manvel will strive to be more age-friendly. Manvel will be a full life cycle, age-friendly community that promotes quality of life at all life stages and encourages lifelong learning. personal autonomy, non-auto forms of mobility, diverse housing options for residents to age in place, and opportunities for both youth and seniors to make meaningful contributions to civic life. And today into the future, Manvel will strive to be more welcoming. Manvel will continue to be an open and welcoming place that respects diverse people and opinions, appreciates, if not always approves, good faith investments in the community, provides opportunities for meaningful and constructive community dialogue and feedback, and operates with the highest levels of decorum and civility. So being a local firm, in case you're not aware of Kentucky's Collaborative, we're located just down Highway 6 in Sugar Land. So we understand a lot of the local issues as well as the nationwide issues because we do plans all over. So the area trends and influences also apply to issues and concerns that were brought up by residents. You know, some things the city cannot do anything about and can only try to influence. But these are kind of the area trends and influences that are influencing the plan. So the growth of metropolitan Houston outward, it's fueled by, freeway system expansions such as 288, we all know. I remember when that was just a two-lane road coming in through here as I go down to Lake Jackson, and now it's crazy. And then you got the 99 that has greatly expanded, and a lot of that is due to the flight to affordability, right? Everyone's moving out from the Houston area and trying to find somewhere affordable, so they're moving out to the suburbs or just trying to get away from the hecticness period of living in the city. So which brings me to the second point of commute-tolerant working population. One of those community input statements that I read was that they like the country living and don't mind, driving 20 minutes to get into the work, whether it's the medical center or downtown or wherever that may be. And then, of course, the Houston area economy, continues to expand and diversify. The rise in regional costs, it's getting so hard very difficult for first-time homeowners to try to find somewhere affordable to live, especially recent graduates that are trying to, pay off debt, things like that. And then you have e-commerce that is really changing things now. Fewer physical stores, resulting in a higher demand for warehouses because of all that online presence. And then with those distribution centers, then you have to look at it as their associated truck traffic. Even in areas that were formerly rural, now you have all this truck traffic going through. And then the consolidation of specialty retail stores, which are moving to more like highly selective locations, usually areas that are more densely populated or have higher household incomes. So I always use the example of City Center on I-10 and Beltway 8. That's what comes to mind. The smaller specialty stores going more to that kind of demographic area because of the density. And then, of course, aging homeowners that are remaining locked in their oversized homes. They might have had a family, there might have been 5 or people in a household, and now it's just 2 people, and they're being locked into these enormous homes because there's a lack of quality senior housing options, or pointing back up to the rise in regional housing costs, or it just doesn't make financial sense for them to try to find something else, some other place to live. So considerations for setting priorities, again, just kind of mentioning what we just talked about as far as the area trends and things. But, what do we control? We got to look at what do we control, what can we influence, and what do we not control? And where we have no control and minimal influence, how can we design our initiatives and methods to work around external factors and reduce risk? So what's next? The strategic plan will serve as a guide for updating Manvel's comprehensive plan, where we'll have a refreshed set of goals, longer range objectives to work toward, And then that's where, again, we're going to identify those immediate and near-term strategic actions. It'll be in the comp plan. So recapping a little bit of that schedule, we're down there in that orange box in that future Manvel phase, wrapping up the strategic plan, hoping that goes to City Council adoption on Tuesday, January 21st. And then that round of social media engagement activities are currently going on for this week and part of next week. And then there's also a kiosk out there in the lobby for those that might not know. There's opportunity there as well. And then we'll also be having further engagement activities for the future Manvel phase before that open house, which even at the open house, we're welcoming comments. So just kind of a general timeline. Also, you'll see there we have those potential workshops with the PDZ that we were talking about, February 24th, March 24th, and April 28th. And so I'm sure you're very aware of this cover right here. That's the Economic Development Strategic Plan by Next Move Group. The strategic Manvel 2045 strategic plan, the one I just presented, is in alignment with the plan. We did review the 5 core strategies, and it aligns with what we've heard thus far through leadership and public input. So the comp plan, one of the things that I wanted to highlight is that we are diving into these 6 different sections. So the environment, growth capacity, land use and community character, transportation, economic development, recreation, and amenities. So each one of those we typically have the same sections that we'll dive into. So like legacy of past planning, what has been done thus far, what are the accomplishments thus far, key planning issues and considerations within that topic. And then we will typically look at framework for action, and then have specific goals that are tied to that category, how they relate, and then specific action items. So each of those categories that you see there will have each of those sections. And it'll be similar to that online platform that I just showed you. That's how you'll be able to access it. So with that, we have one final thing of the big question is, what will Manvel's future character be? So
Can I pause you for just a second? Mm-hmm. Chad with Next Move Group is with us right now, but he's got to get off at 6:45. So can we just check with him to make sure it's 6:43 right now?
Yeah, sure.
Just to make sure he doesn't have any input.
Yeah, absolutely.
Real quick.
No, I don't. It sounds very
Sorry to
similar
interrupt.
what- Can you hear me? I know we were having audio issues.
Earlier.
Is that coming through?
We got you.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
No, it sounds
in alignment with ours.
One of the things that we heard was
things for the seniors and youth to do.
So that
So that took a big part in ours. I guess the one thing that I would say, I'm getting feedback. Let me feel this up.
the one thing I
The
would
one
say
thing I would
is,
say is,
we really looked
at 3 parts of town that you might consider for land use, and you all probably have already done this or in the process.
One was out at
288 and 6,
where there's a
where
property that was going to be developed,
I think called Presidio, if I recall correctly.
260
some odd acres that's never been developed. It's obviously a great spot for hotels and mixed use and commercial
and so forth.
And then out east of town on 6,
heavy
heavy industrial and light industrial, we identified as good opportunities. And then basically behind City Hall,
an idea that
came out of this was to create kind of an old town feel
with new structures
that may be built to look old, to have kind of the town square you were talking about feel with little shops and stores and restaurants. So
that's all in the study,
but those are 3 things that we heard that sounds like kind of aligned with what you're thinking.
We are not
land use experts, we're not engineers, we're really marketing experts. So we stick more to the marketing side, but I think on the land use, planning, and zoning,
those are things
that I think you all might need to consider that this board wanted to do. That sounds like aligns with everything else that you heard.
Yep.
Very good. Thank you, Chad. Enjoy your dinner.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Having seen what
having
happened in
seen
New
what
Orleans
happened in New
last week,
Orleans
you
last
can't
week, you
stress the
can't
safety
stress the
enough.
safety
So
enough. So
keep that number one.
keep that number one.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
So very much, we have looked at the study. So on we like to focus more on community character, which the reason why I say that is because, well, the two books that you see there on the right are books that were written by our owner Brett Keast and our strategic advisor Lane Kendig. So basically, they talk about the principles for design and planning and how you can plan for community character. So it's looking beyond the land use and looking more at the character. By that, I mean, you can have a commercial building, let's say in downtown, if you say that it's commercial, but downtown looks very different than the Manvel Town Center where HEB is, you know? And so what we do is we kind of look more at the density and layouts of residential development, you know, the scale and form of non-residential development, or the coverage of land surfaces. So for example, and I'm just throwing this out as an example, we're going to have to dive into this more as we're moving to this future phase here. But for example, you know, are you allowed to build on 90% of the land, or do you have to keep a lot of open space so that you get that rural feel? And is it only 50%? You know, again, just an example, but that's kind of how what we found, that by looking at the character and not just the land uses, you might have a variety of land uses that are allowed in one area, as long as you kind of get that same look and feel that you're trying to get. So that's just kind of like a brief preview of some of the things that we're currently working on. And thank you so much for your time. And if you have any questions, or feedback, I'd be happy to take notes.
Thank you so much for spending your evening with us. I do have one question to
Yep.
start, and then I'll kind of open it up to everyone else too. I see a lot on here about kind of keeping that rural country feel. Do you guys have a plan already in place, action items? Have you made it to that step to, you know, because as we're seeing the development happen, it's not that rural feel of development. We're seeing a whole lot of box stores, big development, small lot neighborhoods. We have a lot of small lot rooftop neighborhoods. I feel like we're moving away from that. Do you guys have a plan to keep us in that rural feel, or where are you at with that?
So we haven't gotten to that section just yet, but in some of the other communities that we've worked in, you will typically make recommendations for the zoning to be updated to help with that. So the coverage of land surfaces is a big one of how you can kind of regulate or even setbacks, you know. So we might, in the comprehensive plan, we might suggest that kind of thing so that you can still keep that feel to it. And that's why we try to go with the character as opposed to just the land use, because if you just look at the land use, you could technically do anything. Yeah. Sorry, did that answer your question?
Yes, I think so. Thank you.
Perfect.
Anybody have any questions or comments about it?
Hello, yes, I have a few questions. When I came in, I'm sorry for my tardiness, but I heard missing middle housing. Can you please define that term that you're going to use in the comprehensive plan?
Oh, sure. I wish I had that that graphic. I don't have that here on this one. But what I could do is, if I can scroll back up to here, and the only reason why I wanted to bring up this statistic is because, so right now, Manvel has 87.8% that are single-family detached homes. Sorry, Brooke. So 87.8% are single-family detached homes. So by missing middle, I'm talking more about duplexes, triplexes, so 3 people in a home, multiplexes, so 4 people in a home. Basically, anything between single-family detached, and so it could even be single-family attached, so it's townhomes, things like that. Anything between detached and apartments, all in between.
And would the city be, is the city taking consideration, do we have to change any codes for those properties to be built?
That's something that we're going to have to look at.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then as far as walkability, and pedestrian friendly. Are you speaking of the 80 acres and that portion, or overall in a general scope of the city without taking in the factor of Highway 6?
Generally, in all of the city. We generally try to give specific action items, so like, we won't say, you need to put sidewalks everywhere, for example, just on the extreme, right? Well, we usually try to do some short-term, near-term kind of solutions, so we might make recommendations that are kind of, in that time frame. So if something really makes sense, and if we keep hearing that that's something important that people want, then that's typically where we'll do an analysis and see what areas make the most sense.
Okay. And then I was reading also from some of the stuff you discussed. Can you further define alternative mobility options and also redundant forms of transportation?
So alternative mobility options, that could be kind of a variety of things, but we just like to look at it as a whole. So it could be bus, scooter, things like that. I know out in Sugar Land, they're currently planning for the autonomous helicopter taxi kind of thing. So it's kind of looking at it as a whole. And then as far as, I wish I would have brought that up.
I mentioned it to Chad. Honestly, I put that a vertiport. I did put that on the survey, a vertiport. So the vertiport is where you have like a spot where it's centrally located within the city. Typically, is located where it's busy, where you have a lot of commercial, mixed use or whatever, commercial areas, retail. To transport people from Sugar Land to Manvel to IAH, Hobby, the Woodlands. All of these cities are getting vertiports pretty much. And to be a leader, I feel as though that'll help us. They're in talks with Galveston to get a vertiport out there. It's just something to think about. That's an option. If you want, the guy can come and present that option because it's going to be a leader. It's going to be a game changer, pretty much. You can get from here to IAH in 15 minutes.
What is the mode of transportation? Is it the helicopter thing?
The helicopter.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't fly as high as helicopters. It's flying at a different level, but that's what we're moving to, the Jetsons.
That's funny. That's exactly what I think of when I think of these autonomous vehicles.
I'm sorry, I'm not trying to badger or pick on you. I'm just wanting to expand so that everybody here, we get a clear, consistent insight to everything. And as far as the live, work, invest, when you're talking about investing back in the community, with purchasing land, or what's the term for that as far as the investing?
I just want to make sure I'm referring to the right. Do you happen to know which guiding principle it was off the top of your head? I want to say it was opportunistic, but.
Let me go back and see.
Just because I want to make sure I'm talking about the right context. But opportunistic?
Yes.
Yes. Basically by invest, we're kind of referring to monetarily.
Okay.
Whether it's infrastructure, that kind of thing. Sometimes we do tend to make recommendations if we see that there's, opportunity for, like, different incentives, something kind of like that. But mostly, we're just talking about investing back into the public, the infrastructure side.
Okay, thanks.
I would like to add to that
Yep.
as well. So you can also look at it as like, in terms of our operations, whenever a private entity approaches the city of Manvel, making sure that whatever investment they are making in the city aligns with our community goals and the vision that we have for the community. And we have the tools in place already for their success. Both public as well as private investment, I would say.
Okay, thanks. Thank you very much. That's all.
I have
You're
a
welcome.
question. Just curious,
Yeah.
you mentioned Old Manvel? Where's Old Manvel?
Everything northeast of Highway 6 from here, like basically from here.
Okay.
Masters, past Masters, so just east of Masters from north of Highway 6. Everything that's on a well, and although it's, I guess, south of Highway 6 to a certain extent too, but Jordan, yeah. Just not the new stuff on 288, Meridiana, not those areas, not the new subdivisions. Newer.
Jennifer, is the website that you showed us, that's live, that we could access at all times also?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, very good.
It's easiest to go through the City of Manvel, Future Manvel page, and then that's where you can click on that link that says Manvel Plans website, and then that's how you can get to that one that has that interactive plan summary and all the additional projects.
Tammy will send us that link also. She'll email it to us that way.
I do have one more final question in regards to the missing middle housing.
Yes.
Would that be like more so where we have a gap in affordable housing for people who do want to purchase a home but are not able to purchase a home because of the median housing prices within the city of Manvel?
Yes, typically the missing middle housing is generally happens to be more affordable because instead of basically taking one giant lot, I guess you could kind of say, and having one house, now you're having potentially 3 or 4 units on that same size lot, sort of. They kind of do it in a different variety of ways. It could, duplexes, to people typically think of the ones that you see kind of side by side. It doesn't have to necessarily be that. It could be also vertical duplexes, so they're on top of each other. So it looks like a normal house, but essentially 2 families are living there.
Are you going to take into consideration cottage-style housing and also courtyard-style?
We typically do, yes. We don't get it quite into the details per se because that's going to have to be into the code, but we'll give kind of recommendations because the comp plan is like what you use to be able to update the zoning. Yeah, absolutely.
Let me add my 2 cents too. By the way, I don't know if everybody knows me. I'm Jose Abraham. I'm the Director of Development Services, and we work closely with Kennedy Keys to come up with the remaining components of the whole project. So affordable housing, when somebody says affordable housing, just like some of the other terminologies, everybody has a different picture of it. So I guess at this point, as a vision document, working towards a comprehensive plan, where we are at is getting communities' feedback, getting communities' input to see which direction we need to take. So right now, some of the input we've realized is that the prices are increasing. There is a need for housing to be affordable. At the same time, we also have our community saying that we need to have a balance of rural and urban living. Now, we also have the reality of certain type of characteristics that the community has to be. So when we look at all of these aspirations from the community and overlap the data that we have, which shows that there is a need for various types of housing, taking all of that information, what they'll come up with is recommendations to, again, put tools in place to allow certain things to happen. How it happens, when it happens, the shape that it'll take will subsequently unfold through action by the city council, action by the Planning, Development, and Zoning Commission, based on the administrative tools like the subdivision ordinances, zoning ordinances, that we'll put in place based on the recommendation that comes from this. So right now, we're all talking about directions and stuff. Some of the details will unfold later on. It's just like every new year we come up with regulations. Like this year, I'm gonna have to take a direction of healthy living. Now, what healthy living means in terms of workout, diet, how many pounds I need to, all of that unfolds later on. And those are some of the pieces that we'll be working on down the line.
Okay.
And with the missing middle, that's, nationwide, a nationwide thing that people are looking at. So it's not just Manvel.
Yeah, and at the same time, like, we have traditional understanding about certain housing types up until now, but you have newer forms that are coming up, like Jennifer mentioned. There are single-family detached homes that are available for rentals on a large. There are different forms that are coming up. So as part of this exercise, what we'll be doing is, okay, what are the opportunities we have? What is the community's aspirations? What are some of the other factors that we're putting all of those things together? What tools do we need to put in place for those aspirations to materialize?
Thank you very much. I just want you guys to know I support the missing middle. I'm familiar with it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Jennifer, is there opportunity in the future for this board to have more direct input into some of these issues and some of the zoning, some of the, what Martina's discussing with the middle housing? Is there an opportunity for us to be able to, directly input into that?
There is, but we're not, so the comprehensive plan is not going to go into exactly the zoning details. That would be something that potentially the city could choose to update, but that would be after the comprehensive plan is adopted, yes.
Right, and just to add, during the process, just like this presentation, we will have the presentation available to this board as well. Mm-hmm. And on this one, please fill out the surveys to give us input on what you see or what needs to be edited or what needs to be differently done. And for the comprehensive plan process also, we'll do the same. Mm-hmm. And we'll make sure that the strategic plan that you all adopted kind of ties in with the other two plans. The last thing we want is you all are trying to get, say, Sugarland happen, and the other plan is trying to have Galveston happen. We want to make sure we are all looking at the same thing, and it all lines up, and collectively, it materializes the aspirations of the community.
Just to piggyback real quick on what Joe's just said and answering y'all's participation, you guys are quite lucky because you get two opportunities throughout the whole process, because you not only are aboard with your vision for the EDC, but as property owners or residents inside the city, much of what's going to happen takes you as a property owner and your individual ideas to heart as well through these surveys and through the public hearings. And so you get to kind of piggyback on two opportunities to make sure your voice is heard. So use that voice and that opportunity.
And like I mentioned, we'll have other additional opportunities along the way too. We just don't have them quite mapped out just yet. So just keep on the lookout for that through social media. Brooke is posting those.
Great. Anybody else have anything? You good, Chris? I know you got something. What do you got? You good? Yep. Okay. I think we're all good. Thank you for the presentation, Jennifer.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, we will move on now to our next agenda item, B, consideration and possible action to pay for the TEDC Basic Economic Development Course enrollment fee for board member Chris Durrett. Do you want to remind us of what that entails?
Yes, so this came up at the last meeting. Y'all had taken action for Martina to attend and had all voted on it. So in order to take action for Chris's side of it, it needed to be put on a new agenda. So it's on here this evening. The February course was, by the time I saw the notice when they sent it out, was already filled up. So we've got both Chris and Martina, assuming the positiveness of Chris going as well from the last meeting. I have both of them on the waiting list. And then should that one not work out, as soon as we know when the other ones are open, we'll definitely reach out. But tonight it was just so that we can have formal action for when that time comes that he could attend for the course itself. And then Chris had mentioned that the travel cost and all of that he would take care of.
Can you remind us what that total was that we would be covering for Chris? Do you remember?
Was it, hold please? Was it 400?
In that ballpark?
3 to 4 was about the expected cost of everything. Per.
Should be in the minutes.
Chris, did you get an end of year bonus or something? That might sway our consideration.
He's self-employed.
So yes.
Or no.
Yeah, we pay the taxes.
Done it on that.
It goes right back in.
Several times in my
We didn't
so
know how much it was.
I think
Yeah. Was it paying for the course?
it was just for the course, correct?
Yeah, I think I remember 850 or somewhere there. Yeah. Not 100%.
I think we could probably move forward with just approving that we would,
Oh, okay. The course is approximately, for the course alone, was approximately $800. And then the travel costs and all of that could be upwards of several $1,000s based off of the days, the hotel cost, and
Put me at the Ritz.
We was in
but the course is up to 800.
okay, could we get a motion?
I'll get a tent somewhere.
I make a motion to approve paying for the enrollment cost of the course for Chris.
Go ahead. I second that motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? All opposed? Wait, were you in favor or opposed, Martina?
In favor?
Okay, very good. Motion passes 7-0. Okay, next, can I get a motion to approve our consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion. Can we get a second?
I second that motion.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Before y'all adjourn, the next meeting would be Wednesday, the February, Sunday, Monday, the 12th. If y'all want to meet on that day, I do have the final strategic plan. They added some matrices into the back of it. I'll email that all out. I'll email the link to the website so y'all can access that, and I'll email the exhibits that you have in your packets from tonight's presentation. So at one point, you guys were meeting quarterly if you didn't have a project to discuss. I just needed to know, do you have something on the 12th that you want to meet for? And what topic do you want for discussion?
Do we need to take any action for the final strategic, the final?
You did, you guys.
So that's
adopted.
already done, so really we're just kind of receiving it
I
at
said
that
just
point?
reviewing it.
I guess my thought is let's plan on meeting, and in the time period between now and then, we'll kind of figure out, unless anybody has anything at this moment that they know they want to be on the agenda for that meeting. Go ahead, Chris.
So do we, in our previous meetings, we, have kind of had full agendas and things. Are there like some extra, call it busy work or whatever, items that we might want to look at, such as the scorecard or anything like that, that maybe we could spend, 20, 30 minutes?
Yeah, I think Chris has got a good point, because we have a couple few overhanging things with the scorecard, the limits for our grants for the 3 categories that we need to discuss. So we'll for sure put those on there. And then throughout the next couple weeks, if anybody has anything, just email Tammy and she'll
This going to be on the
get
12th?
with us.
Okay.
Okay, so the 12th.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Get a second? I'll second it. Motion passes 7-0.